So, you've heard the term, are we on track? And sometimes we think that's a really good thing. If we're on track, then we know where we're going. But here's the thing, we are humans and not a train. That term, staying on track, actually has embedded into it a limitation. Many times we get into our lives and we think, well, if I'm on track, then I know I go from this to this to this. Not realizing that sometimes staying on track doesn't really take us anywhere. So take a second and consider, as a human, how many options do we have? If you're going to create your own track, that's your thing. But you are not limited to your first idea. You're allowed to change your mind. See you soon. I was so glad to be able to share that with you today. So many times I'm walking through life and I see some kind of example and I don't really take the time to record a video. So that was really special. I know some people might say, that's such a small thing, it shouldn't matter that we say something like, are you on track? And it's limiting. I would agree with you, except right before that, the people I was hanging out with, and I really wish I was recording this conversation because it was so much fun. We were talking about how many things have changed over the years. I love reading old management books. I think the oldest one that I've read, excluding something like the Bible, because there are some relatable things there, but I would read old management books that were written in the 20s. And through the decades, it is really interesting to see the gaslighty things that were taught to each other as this is the preferable thing to do. And I can understand that sometimes what we have taught in, years gone by, decades gone by, maybe centuries gone by, there was a purpose for it in the time. People have told each other, hey, this works. Others may say, yeah, but it harms. But then someone else counters and says, but it works. And because something worked, we went for utility rather than some more inclusive, more overarching, more aligned perspective. It's not that they didn't consider it. The priorities at the time were different than the priorities we have now. I mean, no judgment on it. It's what happened. And now maybe we choose something different. But all that to say, combined in this conversation, are we on track? If we look at times when this was really common, the rail system, so important for combining the United States of America. East and West, being able to traverse rather quickly. If some of you are fans of the Yellowstone metaverse and the 1883, because people could not afford to travel by rail, they walked. The rail was really important. So asking people, are you staying on track? Having a roadmap, having a process plan that's very linear. These things all very much aligned. I could see why it came out. But when you think about change that has happened through decades or centuries or longer, there is a concept in it's on the tip of my tongue. The act of reliable newscasting. Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. It's not publishing. It is, I'm gonna just let it go. And I go back to The West Wing. I'm a big fan of the series The West Wing. I admit that I watched it too often, and I've since kind of overcome that because I wanted to be able to entertain more perspectives. But long story short, in the very first episode of the series, not the movie, but the TV show, Sam looks at his people and says, I don't want the information if we don't have at least three sources. Today, it is 2025. I think as far back as I was paying attention in the just after the 90s, there was a question. Thinking about Ben Stein and the movie Expelled, there was a concept of, is there suppression in the field of academia? Is there suppression of viable information in the area of science? These things bring up a lot of questions when we're trying to decide on what is it that we study or what is it that might be true, and we find out there's suppression, and then we go into another realm and we say, I want three sources or it's not reliable. This means that in the area of things that are published and can be cited, there is suppression. So you don't have the full range of data from which to choose from. This is troublesome. So when I say things like, you are not a train, you have more options than just staying on track, I really want us to take a look at the way that we use our words. Really want us to take a look at the things that I say, this is possible or not possible, and say, well, the thing that I thought was not possible, could it be? And just entertain ourselves. Play pretend. Well, say that it was. What would I do? I'm not saying that all of the things that you can imagine are probable or possible. I'm saying let's come back to the place of imagination. Let's come back to the place that says, if I've not read it before, it might still be possible. Yeah, I'm going to stop there because I'm talking to myself. I'd much rather have this conversation with a group of people that is into it. So if you enjoy this, I would love to see your comments below. Upcoming, I'm going to drop a series for people who are encountering change. I want to let you know in this series, it's not to explain the kind of change that you're in. What I really want to do is put information out there for people who are already in the state of change, to give you some things to attach some concepts you might be throwing out. And there is a reason for this. So it's not going to be explanatory. It's more going to be brain fodder for you to consider how you're planning your change. Have fun. I'll see you soon.